Hello everyone. We are in the data communication series and today we are in the chapter 2, which is network models. First of all, we need to know what is OSI model. This is very important question in exam point of view. The OSI model is a layered framework for the design for network system that allows communication between all types of computer systems. That means you are communicating with a phone by your laptop. It consists of 7 separated but related layers, and each of which defines a part of process and moving information across the networks. Here are the 7 layers of the OSI model. First is the application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and lastly the physical layer. It starts from the transmit layer and goes to the physical link layer. After it the data is exchanged, then it another the receiving device receive the data from the physical layer and goes up to the application layer. Now the physical layer, we will discuss about the physical layer in the in some next slides. The physical layer diagram looks like this one. Here is a transmission media, and here is the physical layer of the sender, and here is the physical layer of receiver. We have a header and some data. In this protocol we have used hub, NIC cables, etc. The data link layer, this diagram will looks like this, and it will have a tail section and a head section. In this data link layer, these data are called frames, and those section is right after the physical layer of the sender and right after the physical layer of receiver. In the data link layer we have switches and PPP, that means peer to peer. In the network layer we have a packet. Here the data is known as packets, and here we have data and head. And here we use protocols like as router, layer 3 switches, IP and IPX. Now we are in the transport layer, where the diagram looks like this, and here we use the data as segments. Here data are divided into small segments which have a header section and a data section. Here we use the protocol as TCP and UDP, transmission control protocol, and user defined protocol. Now we are in the session layer. In the session layer we use protocol as NetBIOS and PPTP. Here the data is in the form of synchronous sections. Here if the data is lost, the synchronous sections are generated to reduce the loss of the data. Here we can use for control signals of dialog control and synchronizations. Now in the presentation layers the protocols are JPG, GIF, TSL, etc. In this session we have data and a header. This can be used for transmission, encryption and data compression. Now lastly, we are in the application layer. In this section we have our users, so we can easily say that the application layer is directly communicated with our users. Here protocols are SMTP, FTP and HTTP. The work of this layer is to network terminal, mail service, dictionary service, file transmission and remote login. Here are the functions and protocols of each layer. In the physical layer, it's used to data rate, synchronization, interfacing, line communication, topologies and transmission mode. Here are the protocols. And now in data link layer we need to do framing, physical addressing, flow control, error control and access control. Here the most important thing is framing and flow control and error control. This flow control and error control can also done in the transport layer. In this section, we are now in the network layer. The work of network layer is to generate the logical address, which is the IP address, and in the data link layer we need to generate the physical address, which is the MAC address. So in data link layer we generate the MAC address, and in the network layer we generated the logical address as IP address. In this section we also use routers and gateways, but in data link layer we use switches and hubs. In network layer we use connection services and breaks them into large packet and interworks. In transport layer we have serve point addressing, the segment, the flow or data control, and the port address controls. In session layer we have dialog control and synchronization. For suppose you are downloading an 100 MB file, and if there are some checkpoints each after 10 MBs, so if there is any uh, hazard occurs, so the synchronization mode can help to re-download the data packet, and you will get the best data output. In presentation layer there are translations, encryption of data, and data compressions. Now the application layer is the last layer. That means that you are using a Facebook Messenger, and what you are watching, this is as the application layer, and presentation layer and session layer are in the form of the software of Facebook Messenger, which is working under the application layer, which are in the session layer, and presentation layer which generates the how to present the data. Now the TCP and IP model. Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol are related with OSI model, but here we have 5 layers instead of 3 layers: session, presentation, and application. Here we have a single layer which is known as the application layer. All other components and elements of this TCP and IP model and OSI model are quite same. You need to know the difference between ISO and OSI model. ISO stands for International Standard Organization, and OSI for Open System Interconnection. ISO is a standard model used for industries, and OSI is a similar model which is for computer networks. It is based on OSI reference model, but in OSI it is based on the TCP IP model. Now here is the difference between TCP and OSI, which is very important for our exam question point of view, so you need to go through that. In OSI we have 7 layers, but in TCP we have 4 layers. In OSI model we have separated presentation and session layer, but in TCP we don't have that. In OSI it follows a vertical approach, and but in the TCP IP it follows the horizontal approaches. In TCP it is protocol dependent, but in OSI it is protocol independent. In OSI the developed mode is then the protocol, and in TCP the developed protocol then the model. In OSI it has strict boundaries, but in TCP it does not have strict boundaries. So those are the difference between OSI and TCP. You can have a snap of this and go through right after before your exam night. Now this is the diagram of TCP and OSI model. Here is the difference between transport layer and network layer. We will go through these sections in further slides. Okay, that's for tomorrow. Thank you.